Hello everybody, how is everybody doing? Now, in order to recover from OCD and to get better and ultimately stay better from OCD, it will involve tons of discomfort. And it's very important to recognize that and being aware of that. Now, you cannot avoid your way to recovery, and that means you cannot avoid discomfort. Discomfort is part and parcel of getting better. It's all part of the journey that you embark on towards recovery. Now, with coaching calls, there will be some very difficult conversations because we will talk about the discomfort involved, especially when it comes to confronting your fears, facing your fears, disputing your fears, doing your exposures, cutting compulsions. And remember, when you cut compulsions, it will require bravery and courage because cutting compulsions can feel life or death. It can feel like your life is truly on the line and it can feel so scary. It can be petrifying, cutting compulsions. And that will obviously bring discomfort. But the question that I always pose to people is this. I say, what would you rather? Would you rather have the discomfort of staying stuck forever? Or would you rather experience the temporary discomfort of getting better? Now, because you can't escape discomfort, there's no way, right? Because if you choose to avoid doing the recovery work, then okay, it might be not as extreme in the short term, as in because you're not facing your fears, you're not doing any recovery work, so you could be coasting or just getting by. But the problem with that is then you have a sustained longer period of discomfort, because that will mean you will stay stuck. If you don't attempt to get better, then there's not gonna be a magical fix. It's not gonna just land on your lap. You ain't gonna wake up one day and OCD's decided to go and not come back. That's just not gonna happen. Definitely not chronic OCD anyway. That's not the case. It doesn't pass like a common cold. It's gonna take thorough work. It's gonna take real persistence and real discipline in overcoming such a chronic disorder. So that's the question I often say. I say, well, okay, that's fine. You don't have to try and do the work, of course. This is your journey. You decide whatever you wish to do. However, look at the options. The trade-off is that you can opt not to do the recovery work, but then you're not really getting a good deal there. You're getting the short end of the bargain, right? Because if that then means you stay stuck forever and therefore prolonged discomfort, I personally would rather take the short-term option, as in experience discomfort in the short run, by giving yourself the best chance of getting better, staying better, and ultimately recovering. That's what I would personally choose. But remember, I didn't choose that initially. It took many relapses, it took many setbacks, it took many fed up moments where I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't stay like this any longer. Looking at myself in the mirror thinking, Sam, do you want to go from trigger to trigger, setback to setback, relapse to relapse, just getting by? Do you want to just exist, Sam? Do you just want to be alive and just survive? No, I wanted to thrive. I wanted to live. I wanted to enjoy. I wanted to flourish. I wanted to enjoy my existence on this planet. And I was fed up of it being a miserable existence because I kept doing compulsions and was getting scammed by OCD every time because it was never providing me relief ever. And I kept seeing it as, I've been fooled again. But as we all know, the conviction of OCD, this one felt real, this one felt different, this one felt like the exception, and I'd easily veer off into the path of reassurance and all the unhelpful behaviours that was actually hindering me and blocking me from getting better. And that's how you've got to approach it. You've got to approach it as that. Weigh up the two options. I either experience lesser short-term discomfort, but it means longer sustained discomfort, as in staying stuck and taking OCD to the grave, or short-term discomfort. And yes, the discomfort will be high. I can't bullshit you. I can't sugarcoat that. It will be high. You're facing fears. You're doing a lifetime first, meaning you're cutting compulsions probably for the first time in your life. You're reading about rational thinking for the first time in your life. You're approaching and understanding unconditional acceptance for the first time in your life. And none of that's going to be easy. And when you're doing exposures and cutting major compulsions and all the unhelpful habits and behaviors, that ain't a walk in the park. That ain't a breeze. That's incredibly difficult, okay? But look at the potential reward. Look at the long-term outcome, guys. The long-term outcome is mental freedom. It's that enthusiasm towards life, that plugged in towards life, the excitement of getting up in the morning to face life, right? That's one of the biggest things that's happened to me now. The enthusiasm is there. I'm enthusiastic even about the things I give a shit about, the smallest things in life, the things I take for granted or used to take for granted. I want to learn. I want to experience so many things. I want to see so many things. I want to do so many things. Where with OCD, that was shut off. I was just existing. I was quite truly just existing in a miserable existence where it was just compulsion after compulsion, just getting by, going to work, just not really doing anything on my terms. I was just functioning at a basic level, keeping the money coming in with the work I was doing, and just keeping a relationship together, just about, and just doing the absolute minimum, the bare minimum. And until we take that option of short-term discomfort, and hey, we're going to back you every step of the way. You know, for anyone in the coaching calls, you know, we're not going to just give up on you. We're not going to say, oh, you know, you're not going to do it. This isn't going to work. You know, yes, it's hard. It's bloody difficult. But when you take that step to think, you know what, I'm willing to get my life back and I'm willing to get better and do whatever it takes. I love hearing that because I know that this person is going to give it their all. And we're here supporting you every step of the way because of the difficulties involved, because of the hardship involved with OCD and all the nuances, all the sneaky, subtle ways that OCD is operating. It's stubborn, it's resilient, it's a relentless bastard. That's what I tend to say. It's a relentless bastard. And I'm on calls thinking, oh God, OCD is so cruel there. I can see what it's done. It's moved to that fear. Yeah, I can see what it's done now. It's going after that. And that will happen, right? But we got to keep moving forward. We can't bog ourselves down by the cruelty of the disorder. The disorder is very cruel. OCD is very cruel. It's looking to take everything away from you. That's what it's looking to do. But we can't sit and whine. We can't sit and feel sorry for ourselves. We can't victimize ourselves. It doesn't solve anything. Understandable why people do that, but it solves absolutely nought. Solves nothing at all. Zilch. Nothing. So it's important to take that perspective on it. Okay? Now, there's a saying that you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And in the OCD sense, it just means that we can provide you with an opportunity, or you can provide yourself with an opportunity to recover from OCD, but we can't make you take it. So for example, I can't get you to recover. Like, I can't just change your thinking like that. If I could, I'd love to. If I could just say, jump up and down, do 5 stars jumps, and you'll be sorted and you'll be recovered. Wouldn't it be great? Or just read this book and you'll be recovered. No, I can guide you to recovery. More than happy to do that. I can pave the way for you, 100%. I can show you the ropes. I can say, look, this is the next step we've got to be taking. This is the approach we've got to be taking, 100%. But I can't physically make you recover like that because the input comes from you. I guide, we guide, but you do the work. You get yourself to recovery. You recover yourself, okay? So please don't turn your nose up at the opportunity of getting better. You live in the best era to have OCD. OCD many years ago would be pretty grim. It would have been dire. The chances of recovery would have been 0. Bleak. Okay, impossible. So, although it's uncomfortable, I know, but what would somebody do to be living in your era? Let's say they died 50 years ago and they spent their whole life with chronic severe OCD. What would they do to be in your shoes, watching this video on your fancy iPhone, where all the tools are there and all the books we can read? You know, if I'm talking as in first world countries, we can read, we have education, we can learn to read books, we can think about our thinking, we're an intelligent species, we can really think about things and see where we're going wrong. Plus, with internet now and all the technology, it's all in our favour, right? The best it's ever been in the world, ever. There's been no period of life that's been like this before, where we've had a chance to get better. So please give it your all and be willing to experience that discomfort. And I know full well how hard that is. I know full well how hard that is, because when you're triggered, it's like a possessed madman. It's like all of a sudden, all sanity, all rational thinking, gone. That's how it can feel. When somebody is set on getting relief, it's like, nope, I'm feeling uncomfortable and I can't have my life ruined and I must not be triggered right now, so therefore I will do whatever it takes to get relief. That's how OCD operates, but that won't lead to recovery. You've got to be more streetwise to OCD and knowing how it operates, but also being willing to experience all kinds of sensations and discomfort and intrusive thoughts and intrusive anything in order to recover. We've got to be willing to go through the fire. We've got to be willing to walk through the eye of the storm in order to get better. I will pose the question again to you. Discomfort in the long run, so avoidance in the short run, but discomfort in the long run, or discomfort in the short run, freedom in the long run? What would you rather? What would you rather there? Now, hey, no guarantee to recovery, but give it your all, at least, because I can guarantee you if you avoid the work, then you're going to stay stuck. And that is black and white. Because I don't know anyone, and I'd like to meet the person who's recovered from severe, chronic, not mild, chronic OCD from just sitting around and doing nothing. I would like to meet them. I'd like to have a cup of tea with them. I'd have a pint of beer with them and hear all about it, because I refuse to believe that that's possible. And guys, I've been in your position. I've been in that position where I thought, well, I have to face discomfort. I got no other choice. I have to. Otherwise, it's very likely to be a lifetime of miserable existence. And this isn't me just being cutthroat and super sort of pessimistic. It's reality, right? With OCD, we can't sit down and feel sorry for ourselves. It doesn't work. Like, we have to approach it as a lifelong project. It doesn't mean suffering for a lifetime. It just means seeing it as, right, this is the brain that I've got. This is the unfortunate brain that I've been born with. So how do I make the best of it as I can? How do I make the most out of the brain that I've got? With gratitude, perspective, and ultimately trying to get better from OCD. Okay, trying to make the most of what you've got. Living the best possible life in these current circumstances, in these unkind, cruel conditions of having OCD. That's the brain that you've got. It could be a whole lot worse. That's not me discrediting OCD suffering. It could be a whole lot worse when you look at external situations that people are experiencing, external injustices, external hardships. You know, like I said, it's not me downplaying OCD by any means, because I'm not doing that, and I know that. I know the suffering all too well. But this is the hand we've been dealt. Our hand's been forced. These are the cards that we've got. We have to play our hand and think, you know what? I can sit and cry and moan, or I can be willing to experience the discomfort in the short run, temporarily, for giving me the best fighting chance for recovery, which means getting better and staying better. We can take a horse to water, but we can't make it drink. I can take an OCD sufferer to water, but I can't make them drink the water in order to recover. I can't make you recover. I can't just wave my magic wand over you and you recover. I can certainly guide you. We will certainly do all we can to support you and guide you. We're very passionate about that because we've been there ourselves. But we can't just recover you like that. Okay, we're not miracle workers. We're not magicians. Okay. We are OCD sufferers that are now recovered and paving the way for you. But you've got to be willing to take the chance and give it your all to recover, whilst being willing to experience heaps of discomfort. Guys, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to get in touch for one-to-one calls, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com or WhatsApp the number in the description, and we can book you in as soon as we can. And I hope to speak to you soon. Guys, take care. Speak again.